Okay, for the first, I want to thank for the support regarding to the images, to Alan Murray Rust, to Andreas Mausolf, Bas Schenk, engineer George Bihoy, Hubert Königer, Luc Queneau, Miklos Tamasi from Fortepan Archive, Peter Hasseldin, Peter Lenhardt, Raimund de Groot, Șerban Lăcrițeanu, Vlad Capotescu, and the Association to Save the Patrimony of Timisoara, County Service of National Archives, Timiș, and also the ATTS Forum or Archives. This is the content of what we will see tonight. It's about Timisoara's history, different names of the transport company, initial plan for horse tram, evolution of the tram network, entrenchments of the citadel as a problem in a way of developing tram system, crossing with the railways, another problem about developing tram system, the electric plant, two leading figures, which are maybe the most important managers of the local transport company, horse tram, and of course electric tram. This presentation will be focused on the vehicles more than any other thing. But as you see, the first chapters are about how the system has evolved, but this will not be the main subject of this presentation. Now we have an old map of Bartolomeo Borghi, where we see how it was the region at the beginning of entering the imperial Habsburgic period. And we see here on the down zone, where I hope my indicator appear on your screen, the Banat zone, which it's something different than Transylvania. Transylvania, it's a well-known zone by the book of Bram Stoker, Dracula. But Banat, it's not so well known. So this is the reason why I prefer to show this map. As you see, the name of the city comes from the river Timiș, the small Timiș actually, after sometimes renamed Bega. And Timisoara was the administrative center of the Banat region. We will see here different periods. And I mean, we will start with the Habsburg Empire. After that, the Hungarian kingdom and the actual Romanian administration. We have had a lot of colonization here under the Habsburg Empire, and this transformed the city into a melting pot of multiculturalism. More description for our Italian friends could be found at the book of Francesco Grisellini, who described very well the region of Banat. Now we have, as I've told you, this many kind of or multinationality administration, different administrations, lead to different names of the companies along the history. And first of them are Hungarian, and then follow the Romanians. At Romanians, starting with 1948, you will see the most of the different names, because a new administration, a socialist administration has started, and all the time things have been changed. Of course, this wasn't the best situation for the transport company, but that was the history, and we have to see it as it was. Now we will open with the imperial emblem of the city, applied on a very old city plan, which include the Timisoara city and the Mehala village, which is situation western of the city, and at that moment was completely separated by the citadel. And this fortress, because it was a fortress at the beginning, have had the 3 rows of defense walls and using a combination of pagan and Vauban elements. We see here this old map, and on this old map appear the drawings of the first route of horse tram. It's marked here on red, and it starts from the citadel here. First segment goes to the fabric zone, a completely different zone where it was concentrated the production of the different manufacturers. And on the western side, we see Josephine Quartier, where we have already the railway station. And as you see, the map shows a city which is quite similar to the Vienna situation in the same time, or how to say, the way in which it's all arranged is similar to Vienna. It was the same idea, maybe the same people has worked for the project, or it was something specific to the Habsburg Empire. Anyway, the railway system was introduced just 1 year before this map was done, and assured the connection to Szeged, and from there to Budapest and Vienna. So the city was connected to the European system. And also an important fact is this blue river, the Bega River, which has started to be regularized, to be consolidated, and during time things have been transformed. But the important thing about Bega River at that moment, also as a form of transport, it was that through the river Bega, the city was connected to the main Central European navigation system by the river Mainz or Rhine, down by the rivers Tisa and Danube. Okay, we could see here also the much better tram line, how it was projected. Here it was the most important point in the citadel, the connection with citadel. Here is the fabric zone. And actually the connection between fabric and citadel was the first one done. And the second one was the connection with Josephine from the St. George Square. We see here a yellow line. Also, we could see here some yellow line, which represents the development, the future development of the horse tram system. But these were never made because it seems that economical crisis has appeared and was no more possible to do this. Now we have to see, this is a simulation of first tram network, let's say so, on an actual map of the city. So at the end, at the beginning of the tram horse system, we have had 6 kilometer long network. Then when electric tram appeared and what introduced 30 years after, we have had 10.7 kilometer. And then we came to today when we have 34 kilometer longs. The southwestern zone started from here till the end of till the southeast point here, belonging to Route 3. It was cancelled a few years ago, has chance to be put back in the future, but it was not taken into account when we have when I have mentioned the 34 kilometer. This is the situation of the fortress. It was quite problematic to open the horse tram line, because the military decided that this could be a problem for the citadel. So the company have had to promise that will make different opening in the wall and construct here in the moat a special bridge for the tram. So with that condition, the opening of the tram construction was approved, and 30 years later, just 1 year before the electric tram has to start, the defortification works, and we could see here how it looks, the wall and the gate, how they have disappeared, leaving place for the new electric tram route. Now we have to look to the crossing between tracks of tram and railway. We have here the railway line, which is now in double direction. First one go to the Buziaș on the southwestern zone, and the other one go connect Budapest to Orșova on the river Danube. We have had here a crossing between horse tram and the railway, and this was not so problematic because horse tram wasn't quite deranged by presence of the rail train. But later, when the electric tram has started and the system was developed, tracks have become more numerous, and vehicles were more numerous, problems appear, because here it was a second crossing, and another one it was here. And we could imagine how difficult it was to let train pass between trams, or more correctly, to let trams pass between trains. And I know I found in the archives that not once happened to avoid an accident in the last minutes, because the operators near railway forget to put down the barriers. So could happen some nasty accidents. But 902 railway between Budapest and Orșova has moved in the north of the citadel. It's quite the present location, and problems have been solved. But if you want to see how it looks, such crossings, we have here two pictures. This one was made in near actual place where we have the Orthodox Cathedral in the center of the town. We see a steam train crossing the tram line, and we see here two trams coming in the center direction. The tram tracks were double, and the railways was a simple one. And here we have the second crossings. It's a picture about taken around 1920. We have here a B type tram pulling an A2 car, a trailer. And here on the left side, we see the church, which still exists in Piața Bălcescu. Wasn't easy to move the railways from the city, but after long debates, these things happened. Okay, Now, something also important, it was that the communal council decided to buy electric plant and the gas plant, which were all both belongs to some private companies. And at the beginning, we could see that municipality wasn't trustful in the success of electric plant or the gas plant or the transport with tramways. But seeing that things are a successful business, they decided to buy it. So we see here the electric plant, a building which still exists and function today. And also we could take a look inside. And I have to mention that under the management of Dr. Engineer Corneliu Miklos, he bought electric plant and tramway company have been reunited, and the name became Întreprindere Electromecanice Timisoara. This was a successful idea, but before the great management of Dr. Engineer Corneliu Miklos, we have had another important figure, and this was Henrik Bader. Henrik Bader was a Swiss engineer and has been involved directly in the construction works of the first horse tram. After the horse tram has started running, Henrik Bader became the director of the transport company, where have had a quite long life and has done many good decisions and important decisions to develop the transport system. And now, because we have talked about Dr. Engineer Corneliu Miklos, we have to take a look at his activity, because it was also a longer and important presence under Romanian administration, of course, and continued what has been started by Henrik Bader. This is an important aspect, because today less new director continue what an old director has started, and has managed, as I've told you already, the electric company and the transport company. Has been involved in many successful projects. Under the condition existing after the First World War, it was very hard to buy new trams. So has invested money into build new trams using old parts. Actually, we talk about modernization, and you will see that this has been continued a very long time. We could say that even today we have in Timisoara a reconstructed tram. I'm referring now at the Armonia trams, which are using parts of Wegmann from Bremen trams. And this was just information about present situation, but this will not be the subject now. Taurus trackline welding machine was another successful project. Introduction of the trolley bus also, and as a premiere for the national construction industry. We have here had the first bogie tram car. It's later than it was made in USA, but it was premiere here. And also an important aspect of Miklos's management was the interest to keep workers, the employees around the company. Okay, a short look at the first horse tram. First horse tram was built at the VNS company Spearing 21 trams have been delivered, and those trams have had a light construction, completely wooden bodywork, and I know that these trams have need 2 horses to be moved to do transport during the summer day, but in the winter they have had 3 horses. This is maybe one of the best images which we have with a horse tram in Timisoara. It was taken on St. George Square, the central point of the citadel, and it shows clearly how the inside of the horse tram, the carriage was split in 2, initially in 2 classes, 1 and 2, but later it was changed into compartment for the smokers and another one for the non-smokers. We have here also some data about length, width, and the capacity inside the vehicle. Intention of the transport company was to use the tracks for transport of goods also. And in this nice picture taken by Hans Lenhardt in 80s, we see 2 lorry platforms which are used for internal transport inside the transport company at that period. But in 1872, 7 such platforms have been built at Simmering factory, and one of them, it still exists. It's the oldest vehicle in the local transport company inventory today. Was converted into a mobile stepladder, and it still uses it. We have here what it's supposed to be, or is presented as it is, the second type of horse tram in Timisoara. In 1891, it was organized a very big exhibition, a large exhibition in Timisoara, and the number of big visitors determined the transport company to buy another horse trams, another 5 horse trams. But those were made in Johann Weitzer company in Graz, and they were towed by a single horse. I say probably this is one of them, because if we look carefully inside the picture, we could see that this tram has 2 horses, and this number of horses, normally it was used during the winter time, or we don't have a winter time in this picture. Okay. Between 1992 and 1897 have took place negotiation, because citizens from Elizabethan district asked for a tram line to be connected with the citadel, with the railway station, and to fabric zone. But many negotiations took place without any results. And finally, because it was clear that horse tram, it was transformed in the entire Europe into an electric tram, the municipality asked to the company to go on that direction. So a new company was formed, and a contract was signed with United Electricity Company of Budapest and Singer Felix and Co. Berlin. Here we have an advertising for Felix Singer company, which shows the systems, the infrastructure they use, the trolley pole they use, which will be for sure seen in a short time in Timisoara. Okay, this was the first electric tram, introduced in 1899, 30 years after the horse tram. And the building was made at Arad Johann Weitzer company. It's quite the same company from Graz, which has developed and delivered the previous small horse tram. And we talk about a small tram with a capacity of 12 standing places, which is not quite something impressive. And this has a metal truck and wooden bodywork. 17 such trams have been delivered. And in 1909, trams of these types have been fitted with a second engine. The Exposition Universelle de Paris, it was a good occasion for the Johann Weitzer from Arad company to present one of these type A tram. We could see it here in a publication, Street Railway Journal. And I found on internet many interesting pictures from that exhibition, and it was quite an impressive one, referring to the railway stock presented there. It has to be mentioned that together with the type trams, Johann Weitzer has converted 10 horse trams into trailers. They have got electric lighting inside the vehicles and have been used till 1906. Here we could see the trams, the trailers also, and the electric trams crossing in the St. George Square. It's a different position of the tracks, perpendicular on the initial horse tram tracks. A beautiful pictures show us the next type of tram. The first in the picture is the A type, followed by the B type. Total number of B type was 26 pieces, and they were delivered in 4 series. In the body of the B type trams were identical, but the engines have been different. Anyway, the capacity of the tram was much bigger than A type. So first 6 wagons have been produced by the Schlick company in Budapest and fitted with electrical equipment made by Siemens Schuckert Budapest. Second series of 6 wagons have been produced at the Győr factory and also have Siemens Schuckert electric system. Third series of 8 wagons have been produced in both factories, Győr and at Budapest. But the electrical system was different. First of them from the Győr had United Electricity Company machine factory Újpest as a producer, and the second 36 and 37 cars have had traditional, let's say so, Siemens Schuckert Budapest electric parts. This series of wagons have two engines of 23 horsepower. Okay, sorry. We have here another picture with the last series of 6 wagons from Schlick, again with Siemens Schuckert electric parts. And as we see here, the power of the engines, it's bigger. It's about 35 horsepower each of the engines. And those trams are really important for the next decades because based on the B and A types, we have had a lot of reconstruction and modernization. And due to the fact that initial intention of goods transport was a serious matter, just when the First World War started, it was ordered also at Arad an electric locomotive. This opened the chapter of freight transport and has been delivered only 2 years after being ordered because the condition of the war determined this delay. This loco was in service a very long time, till mid of 70s has doing freight transport, and after that has going to Electrometal factory. Electrometal factory, you will see it's the last producer of trams in Timisoara, but we will talk about this a bit later. Here we see in the picture L1 in quite original form, was very well preserved and didn't suffer any transformation. This is the first try to build new vehicles in Timisoara Transport Company. We talk about 3 trailers which reproduce the form of the horse tram. We don't have for sure a clear photo of this, but calculating the years when this trailer appeared in the picture, it has to be one of these 3 mentioned here. As I've told you, the poor state due to the war and the lack of spare parts determined the company to transform A-type trams into trailers. The new name will be A2/C1. In different documents, they appear as A2 or in others C1. It preserved the dimensions of the original cars, and it seems to be a good solution to offer an extension of places for transport, for tramway transport, and this has to be taken into consideration that already the initial trailers which came from the horse tram have been already scrapped. As I've told you already, this situation caused by World War I caused enough problems to acquire new trams. So already under the management of Dr. Engineer Corneliu Miclosin, We have here a picture where appeared the new workshop built for the construction of the tram, situated in immediate vicinity of the depot number 1. This was still it is depot number 1, and this is number 2. I say still it is because the building still exists, are not anymore used as workshops, and were very important as in the life of transport company, because all construction and reconstruction till 70s were done here. We will see later the more modern type of tram, Timish, and the prototype of this tram was built also here inside the building. 1921, still 5-8 type tram exist and are in use, but it's in the year when the first motor cars have been reconstructed. We're talking about 2 types of D engine wagons, and also some trailers which already have been done. And we have a type and a subtype D and D1 was different note because D1, it seems to have a completely new chassis, and this D type preserved the initial chassis of type A. This is the subtype D2, and this was built in 9 pieces, and they have preserved the original electric equipment of the type A trams. Also, here in the previous picture, we could see the Dickinson system here in the upper part. But this was the last tram which came out of the workshops with this system, because in 1925, the bow collector was introduced. The bow collector was actually projected here and has a specific form typical for Timisoara. Also, later, when the necessity of twin cars appeared, we could see a picture from 60s taken by Hans Lennart with a D2 trams coupled together on the line 4 and have the park fleet numbers different than original. This was another strange and unexpected thing, because as I've showed you before, during socialist administration, many name of companies, or more correctly say, name of companies have become different, have been put under different management, and when comes one, sometimes change the fleet numbers of the vehicle, not in the all vehicles, but some of them. This is one situation. The second situation is when it's preserved till 80s, when a tram has technical problems or malfunction, or has problems from it comes from the factory problems and cannot do the number of kilometers which are supposed to be done. Then it has to be renumbered. Actually, another tram takes the responsibility and do the kilometers instead of the original car. So now we have here the F1 type, and has a different construction. We could see a simple body, more, let's say, modern compared to the D type. But here the ventilation area, it was moved. The upper zone has been gone. And this type has have had from the beginning the bow collector. Such F1 trams have been produced in 6 copies. And also they have had the original A-type tram electrical system. Here in this picture, we have somehow an interesting images. We could see here that one of the A2 C1 trailers was still in use in 1963, the moment where Hans Lennart has taken this picture. Also, the management of the local transport company has been interested in maintaining a cleaning city. So an interesting project was done in 1925. We talk about an electro sprinkler wagon. The most interesting part is that it was the first tram on bogies built here in the house. And we could see it in 1968 in a superb picture taken by Hans Orlemans in action at Gheorghe Doja Street between Piața Maria and Piața Bălcescu. I say this, I could consider this as a test car, being later used for the first bogie passenger car. During 1927, a new type, bigger type emerged. It's we're talking about F2 type, which it has a larger body compared to F1. We could see the number of the windows, it's bigger. The F1 has 4 and the F2 has 5. And such wagons have been built in between 1927 and 1931, and fleet numbers were 107 till 121. Due to the World War II, appear also a problem. The economical conditions were quite bad, and even the reconstruction of trams was stopped. 1928, it's another step in the reconstruction of the tram. We could recognize here the initial dimension of the type A motor car, but converted here into a new style of trailer. What is here different is the zone above the windows. The windows could be opened to assure a proper ventilation, but also here exists a separate row of windows, small windows. This body was constructed in metal, and it was a small series of 4 vehicles. The transportation of goods has increased very well, and because the single L1 locomotive cannot do all the job, was necessary to be built another one. This time the L2 was built at a workshop in Tacheonescu, and it was a bigger one compared to L1, more modern, and it was used till the middle of 70s, being transferred after after the cancel of the service at the Timisoara brewery. The locomotive still exists inside of the yard of the factory. It's posed there, it's put on display and could be seen from outside the factory. 1930, it's the moment when it was necessary to be built, also from a type A wagon, a snow log. It was a service car, maybe one of the first service car built, and still exists today, preserved and classified as historical vehicle for the Corneliu Miklós Museum collection. Here it was surprised in 2000 by Andreas Mausov. I've told you before about the twin trams. This system existed already in Budapest for a few years, and it was found to be a very good solution for single lines in Timisoara. So starting with 31, first models, the C-type, C2 type 82 and 83 trailers have been modified. They have got traction equipment and have been coupled as FA, or as I found in internal documents, F3. This couple have had a single pantograph, but both of vehicles have been motorized. So it was the first situation when the bow collector was replaced by the pantograph. From now on, the new construction or reconstruction of the tram will have all pantograph systems. The twin traction have had the new BBE 40 Aline engines, powerful engines, and those engines were purchased from Germany in 1928. It seems that new controllers have been mounted on these trams with 7 starting contacts and 6 rheostatic braking contacts. Those new, those old type I controllers have been replaced with the Siemens Schuckert new controllers. This made smoother handling of these trams. I've told you that Corneliu Miklós has done a lot of investments in the benefit of municipality and transport company. And one of these, it was the build of the 2 chalets called Brădișor and Bella Vista at mountain, Muntele Mic, small mountain. And because there it was a railway till Zavoiu railway station, and from there a forest railway, the idea was to connect Poiana Mărului, which was the terminus point, to railway station Zavoiu with an automotor. This automotor, it was built inside the transport company workshops also, have had a Ford 8V engine, and has run until 50s, when the communist administration decided that it's not necessary to allow people to visit a small mountain. And with this decision, the life of this automotor have been stopped. F2 trams and actually the twin trams have been modernized between 1937 and 1940. It was necessary to add an air compressor to operating two lift doors and the access steps. The new system of taxation was imposed because if till now the person which cashes the money moves inside the vehicle, this time we'll have a special place near the back door in both vehicles. So this system will start to be applied to other trams also. And not all the twin trams have suffered this modification, this modernization. For example, 109 and 110 never had got this compressor air system. In 42 and 43, last two twin couples have been built, 122 and 123, and also 125 and 124, 124 and 125. And with those, the series of 10 twin trams of type F ends. This superb picture was taken in 1969 by Raymond de Group and shows also line 5, which was a very long time serviced by such cars. In the 70s, a new modernized wave came. The seats have been changed, and the windows have been replaced with some others, fixed with glass water strip. Inside, the lighting system was also changed, and we have had a fluorescent light. The idea with the new fixed windows was not quite the best, because during time when windows have been broken, a fixed one, I mean without opening zone, was put in instead, and with this made transport with a trip with such tram really difficult, especially in the summertime. Also, some of the trams have been downgraded because, as you could see, the last steps was changed. The pneumatical operated steps was removed, and there could be a reason. In one way, the engineers of the local transport company suggested that the system it's already old and cannot be repaired, being too complicated. On the other side, as we will see later at the next type of tram, such vehicles becomes really crowded. It was a period when personal cars weren't very accessible, and a lot of people have had to use trams to move to the work and back home, and not just. So, but also, depending on the configuration of the routes, some of the trams have been converted into unidirectional trams, but they have been operated as twins, and they have run in both directions, but the access was allowed only on one side. So we could see here that one side of the doors on the one side have been cancelled. Also, this type of F trams was produced. Here is a single, it seems that a single such couple was made on Arad factory, and always based on the same project. But the gauge was a metric one. Here we go, and we could see the absolutely new tram project where Dr. Engineer Miklosi was involved. And it's a less known tram because in 70s, at the end of 70s already was out of service. And we see here a shape which is very similar to the standard Swiss tram. A new thing is the big display for route. The access was made on the back side on a double door. And inside the section between door 3 and 2 have had a single row of chairs on the both sides. And the other section between door 2 and 1 have had 3 rows of seats for the people that travel a longer distance. As I've mentioned at the Gemini twins, in the back, right near the third door was the place of the people who sell tickets. What was also interesting here, the tram was done with big windows, which could be opened for ventilation, and also have had 4 ventilators, with electric engines located in the ceiling. Inside, the chairs have been upholstered and also combined with the transmission of type Secheron, those increased the comfort of the passengers. Because this tram was projected in 1946 under Corneliu Miklosi management, the situation, the political situation has changed. Already the war have been finished, but Romania has entered under the Soviet influence. And we could see, not very well, but here in the upper part, it's a text which mentioned the friendship between the Romanian and Soviet people. And also here we could see some communist propaganda messages applied on the both lateral sides. The tram have had a really longer body compared to all vehicles existed in the fleet, with a capacity of 100 places, 26 on chairs, and have had 4 motors, 2 per bogie, with 25 kilowatts each, reaching a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. Both engines of the bogie have operated permanently in series. Before this type of tram, the condition of work for the tram drivers were really difficult, was somehow primitive. And I could say that because, like in the horse tram time, the driver have to stand and drive the car. But here it's introduced. We talk about 1950s. The first tram with a seat for the driver. In 1949, Corneliu Miklosi has left the management of the company, but the project is continued. The development of the project was difficult. As I've told you, the Soviet occupation already started in Romania and was a very difficult time. Because the Soviet part obliged Romanian government, where has already put the own people, to create some companies called Sovrom. Those are the Soviet Romanian companies. And actually, they have had a single purpose: to obtain products at a price determined by the Soviet state. That means they decide how much they accept to pay for a product, and to take also natural resource. So through this association, Romania have lost a lot of products of money, actually. And this was the way to impose the new socialist economic system to replace the capitalist system. This system of Sovrom, where the export products have priority in front of national products, determined to the Reșița factory, where the bogey part was produced, to delay this delivery till 1950s. But in 1st of May 1950s, where the Labor Day was celebrated, was the occasion for the large public to use these first new trams. At that day, the trip were for free of charge. And it seems that this moment was quite appreciated by the people. So in 1950, it's built another such tram, 1952 another two, and 1953 another one. But after the sixth car, the centralized communist leadership in Bucharest forbids the construction of new wagons. With the risk of conflict, the factory of the workshops of the transport company continue to build a seventh car, and it was completed in 1954. It was the last tram of this type, because big scandal followed, and the situation was really on fire, and the start of service was postponed because the management of the transport company have had to write explanatory notes justifying the violation of the ban. But the construction of such type of trams is continued on Arad, starting with 1953. And it seems that 12 such trams have been built at Astra Arad company. It's the same project as in the Timisoara, but the car, it's somehow more rounded, has a more rounded design in front, and if we look carefully at the roof, the system of opening doors and windows, it's identical as the model of Timisoara. Such trams have run in Timisoara till middle of 70s, and in second half of the 60s, they are also modified. The back door is made narrow and has the same dimension as the first and second doors. Also, the folding steps are replaced with fixed steps. Windows are replaced, as I've mentioned already, at the German cars. And in some cases, some of the vehicles lose the bigger root zone in the front, and this one is replaced with a smaller one accompanied by a ventilation zone. Inside also they have fluorescent tube lighting. And here we have a superb picture, maybe in the last year of using this type of tram made by Peter Hasseldin. Because I have to explain you that decentralized economy, planet socialist economy, involved that all decision will be taken at Bucharest. And this boogie tram, GB2/2, was made somehow without respecting the plan from Bucharest, because at that time they worked at the prototype, a similar tram, and this from Timisoara was appeared before, and it's normal that communist dissidents have become angry. But after building a series of 37 such pieces, we're talking about V951 type, the production, it was moved at Electroputere Craiova. So Timisoara was forced to buy trams manufactured in Craiova. Craiova was production site without any experience. Because some of the communist leaders have had a good connection with the zone of Craiova, they decided to build there this production site and to construct locomotives initially. But it's not so easy to start a company without having people with experience. So they have moved engineers from Reșița, locomotive factory, and they try to do new locomotives at Craiova. But to understand how poor was projected this factory, we have to know that inside the enterprise was no testing line for trams, for example. So this new big capacity tram, also on bogies, has taken the characteristic of the V951 built at Bucharest workshops, and it was called V54. Here we could see in the picture on the left side such a tram in original livery, running in the center of the Timisoara. Looking at the bodywork, we could see a PCC-inspired streamline style. Inside have had also upholstered seats, and also like the GB car have had 3 doors. The length was almost similar, and have had 4 engines of 36 kilowatts each. Such trams have been delivered to Timisoara in the next between 1955 and 1959 in a number of 20 pieces, and this shows such a car in the original state, with original doors and with original windows which cannot be opened. And this leads to big problems referred to ventilation. We could see that not even the front windows cannot be opened. So any one of us could imagine how hard it is to travel with such a car, where the resistance put above are hitting the ceiling, and also the heating degaged by the people, it's combined with this one, and it has to be a really hot atmosphere inside. Also, the quality of the trams was poor, and this was normal in condition, explained it before. Such trams have been sent to Bucharest, Timisoara, and Oradea, but was impossible to use the tram when it was delivered. So the technicians from the transport company workshop have had to repair first the tram and just after to put it in the traffic. Even so, between 57 and 60 was necessary to change the transmission. The initial Secheron transmission, which was wrong projected, was changed with a classical straight teeth transmission. Last year of service was 1980 for such cars. Like the other trams in between 65 and 68, those trams have been modernized. The same, the sliding doors, the initial sliding doors, which are really sensitive and most of the time create problems, have been replaced by folding doors. Also, the inside fluorescent tubes, lightning with tubes was changed. And also the ventilation system was changed. We see here a tram with lateral windows replaced with ventilation zone windows. And we have to talk again about the freight transport, because during time was necessary to increase the volume. Many factories have been developed and need the goods transport daily. So a new locomotive was necessary to be built again at the workshops in Ionescu depot. This new locomotive, L3, was built in 1956, has 2 bogies and 4 traction engines, each of 36 kilowatts. As the other, L2 and L1 was used till middle of 70s and then was transferred to the Timisoara brewery. In 2000, we see this locomotive acting and helping to deliver the second-hand trams from München, Ratgeber P type. And during 7 years ago, this locomotive, already out of service at a brewery, was brought to Dâmbovița depot for conservation, for preparation to be put on display at Corneliu Miklósi Museum. Between 1958 and 1961, continued the modernization of type B, C, and D wagons. And a major change was the complete reconstruction of the bodywork, the electric equipment, and the braking system. Those were preserved in the original state, but the bodywork was completely reconstructed. Shape of the body came from the GB2/2 tram, and it was adapted to the body length for the 2-axle tram. It results a bit longer tram, narrower at the ends, at the both ends, but still has got a new sliding doors. It seems to be initially manually operated by the tram driver. Oh, yes, I forget to say, but this new type of tram was called Pioneer in Romanian language. It's another form of communist propaganda, as you could suppose. It's a change in the name of the type of trams. It's maybe the second change, because if till now we have had types named in alphabetically order, now we have a name. And this name means the Pionieri Patriei, which it was an organization for students starting with the 5th grade. As a joke, starting with 1976, propaganda was amplified, so even the small children aged between 4 and 7 years have to be in the kindergarten member of Shoimi Patriei, House of the Motherland. So our luck is that Tram was already named at that moment. Otherwise, it was not a surprise to see that new name or the name of these new car trams could be the Hulk. Okay, back to the Pioneer car. Inside the wooden bench, or initially wooden bench, have been replaced with chairs. The collector system was replaced from the bow collector to the pantograph. Fleet numbers have been kept till 1964, when another change is due in the inventory of the transport company administrated at that time by some state company. And first 10 modernized trams were built as engine and trailer. Have been renumbered in 1964. We see here a beautiful picture taken by Raymond de Groot in 1969, showing such a couple. But second series of Pioneer trams have been built as 8 twin couples. Those had an air compressor, and this operate the opening of the doors, and also had the solenoid operated rheostatic brake. We see here one of the train where between two twins car, it's inserted Pioneer trailer on Route 3, picture taken in 1973 by Hans Orlemans. Also, Pioneer trailers have been used in different configuration. Here we could see the old D2, initial D2 trams converted into twins F3 types, having forming the train mixed with a Pioneer trailer. On Route 7 in 1978. The original F-type twin trams have become really tired in the 80s and have to be replaced with Pioneer twins trains. But for this purpose, on line 5, the vehicles have been modified, having doors on the both sides. Couples have been renumbered, and second part of the 80s lead to the construction of the loop on Kalabog-Danestilo and at the end of the end loop of line 5, and means the ending of service for the twin cars, twin trams. 1961, it was really strange moment when the Bucharest Transport Company delivered second-hand trailers to Timisoara Transport Company. And those are really old trams from 1911. They have a wooden body covered with metal, and they have had a really pitiful condition. They have to be repaired, and only 1 year after arrival, they have started to be used in combination with different types of motor cars. The last year of using for this type of V8 trailers was 1968. We see here such a rare picture with a V8 trailer taken by Hans Lennart at the end loop of Route 2. Between 61 and 67, a new bunch of trailers, sorry, here it's wrong motor cars, in fact, they was trailers, V12, have been delivered also from Bucharest workshops. With this time with a metal body, with a bigger length and width. They have been coupled with ITB, trams or electroputere, and even with T162 type motor cars. They were still used in 1985, and we could see in this picture renumbered 464 in service, crossing the Piața Bălcescu. This big number 464, it was a change because it was changed and make bigger with a 4 in front, because the new Timiș trams have already had number 64, use it for the trailers of Timiș trams. 1962, another point in the construction of the trams in Timisoara. Type B and D cars, the tram cars, have been modernized. It's a project made by the engineer Gheorghe Bihoi, and it's a project influenced by the streamline type of PCC. It could be confused with the electroputere trams view from the front, but this type of tram have had only one headlight. From the lateral side, we see that it's a 2-axle car, and it's no confusion. Outside, we could see a really interesting care for details. Trams having applied a band of aluminium, a decor aluminium, and this make it look more well done. Also, the T162 motor cars have had trailers made in the same manner, and the novelty of this this type was the operation of the doors with an electromagnetic mechanism. This interesting picture show us the system of the person who charged the fare. Here in the back of the trailer, a similar person exists in the motor car. Initially, number was the form of 771 with 21 till 79 with 29, and this was the original form from the factory, from the workshop. Later, trailers were coupled with different other type of trams, and including here GB2/2. 1969, it's a year when the necessity for twins car, it's really big increase, and for this reason, such T162 motor cars are coupled together back to back. But after this situation, things go back to the initial form. Between 63 and 67, 24 trams from ATTS V58 type have been purchased. In 56, the repair workshop of the transport company from Bucharest began the modernization of the old trams with wooden bodywork. But this tram was made also as a new car and also as a reconstruction. So for Timisoara, this time the lucky it was to have new trams. It's not a very big capacity tram, and had only two engine traction of 38 kilowatts each. Have had a controller made by Electroputere with 12 contacts at startup and 7 contacts at rheostatic braking, and have been used in public service till late of 70s, but such cars have run also in 90s, having been reactivated as service cars. The story of building new trams continue at Timisoara workshops. The engineer Gheorghe Bihoiu, which has realized the project of T162, has continued to work at trams. I have to mention that in 1964 till end 1965, the same engineer has worked at the first project of articulated car in the Timisoara and maybe in Romania. But this wasn't a very shining one. We talk about two T162 cars put back in back and having in the middle a segment with a door. Actually, it's the type known as 2 rooms and a bath, already used outside the country. But this project was stopped during 1965. But we talk now about 1969. And this time, a completely new tram was projected. We talk about the Timish tram, but it was a simple articulated tram. It has to have a Jacobs type bogie in the under articulation. In the same time, in Bucharest is brought the prototype produced by Linke Hoffmann Busch, a double articulated car, which was promised to be delivered in a large number of pieces, maybe around 200. But till it was sent there to be tested in less than 1 year, ATTS engineers have made a reverse engineering process and have copied the entire tram. Was a scandal with the Linke Hoffmann Busch company. They requested to return the prototype, but finally the ATTS has buy the tram and remained in Bucharest for a long time. The name of this new double articulated car was V3A, and as we will see, not just visually, but actually technically, it was far from the quality and detailing of the original German car, have been adapted to the technology which exists in the old ATTS workshops. Here we could see the first variant of V3A, and on that condition, launching of the first Romanian articulated tram could be cancelled or influenced by the launching of the Tram, articulated Tram. So Mr. Engineer Bihoy has going to the Bucharest, to the ITB, talking about his project, and dissidents told him to come back and to reproject the tram as a engine, a motor car, and classic coupled with a trailer wagon. This leads to another episode of influencing the construction of the trams in Timisoara by the centralized management. Even so, compared to the previous situation of the GB2/2, when the production was completely forbidden, this time was possible and sustained the construction of the new workshop, where the idea was to have a site for construction and to maintenance of the new trams, and just near, in the same location, to have the new depot. This new depot was mixed, being also used for the trolleybus maintenance. This was situated in the western part of the city. We have to mention here the Romanian-German collaboration, which helped a lot in development of this project. In the 60s, the municipality of München intended to replace the trams with buses and subway trains. But approaching of Olympic Games from 1972 made the MVV, Stadtwerke, and the City Hall to recalculate the importance of the tram. So with this occasion, they have to reconstruct old trams, to modernize them, and they need people for help. For this reason, 40 employees from Timisoara Transport Company have been detached for 2 years at München. That was a good occasion for them to become specialized in construct modern trams. TM69, it was the technical name of the Timiș Tram project. Collaboration with German partners were very good, and many parts, or bigger or small parts of the project, have been solved with the help of the German engineers. So, for example, the pantograph, the asymmetric pantograph existing on the Ratgeber type P trams, was a good start for constructing the new pantograph for the Timiș tram. During 1970, the construction of the first motor car Timiș was done, and finally in December it was put on traffic. It was the last car built into workshop from Ionescu. This closed the tradition of construct or reconstruct cars there. As a rule of numbering the train Timiș, we could see that motor car has number 231, 231, and it's paired with the trailer number 1. This difference of 230 was kept until delivery of the last couple. I'm referring, of course, on situation from Timisoara Transport Company. Here we could see in the picture taken from the balcony of Opera House, the prototype with the prototype trailer crossing the Piazza Operei in 1979. The body was with edges. It was somehow a return to original design, but this time we have a different style of windows, a bigger windows. The inside construction of interior is more Spartan. Chairs are made of fiberglass, and inside, from the beginning, the lighting system has 6 fluorescent lamps with 40 watts. One of the novelties is the communication system used between tram drivers and passengers. It's the first time when this system is applied in a car built in Timisoara. From my experience, I could say that I never traveled. I was child at that moment, but I never traveled with a tram, and here this system use it. And I suppose that a long time, or not long time after this, the launching of the tram, this system was eliminated. Okay, the system of the circulating system, the axis system, was calculated to be started from the middle doors, the double middle doors, where is found the person who charged the fare, and then the exit is on the first and last door. Here are a few characteristics of the train, Timiș train. And this train was equipped with 2 engines, one each on the bogie, having 96 kilowatts, reaching a top speed of 17 kilometers per hour. The control was made for the series of 25, if I'm not wrong, trams, with controllers supplied by Kipe Electric, but later the economical situation determined the construction of the tram to use such controllers produced inside in Timisoara factory. We will see which factory will build these controllers in a few moments. This is how it looks, the Spartan interior of the Timiș trams. I have to mention that first 5 trains have had the electrically operated doors, but overcrowding leads to the broke of this system. So the only solution was to apply finally the pneumatic drive system of the doors. Also, an improvement was the placement of the heaters, which have been used to ventilate hot air on the winter time and the cold air from outside in the summertime. Also, the maintenance of this system was really poor, so they didn't offer the expected comfort. In '75, Timiș tram couple is sent to Oradea. It's the first time when the Timiș start to be sent to other cities in Romania. And by the way, this tram was never built for export. But another problem appeared in 1977 when the production of new tram is affected. This time the Ministry of Machine Construction decided that a transport company cannot build trams, so they have to split the construction of trams from the transport service, and three companies have to dispute the new factory. We talk about UMT, Arad, Astra, and Electrometal Timișoara. Finally, Electrometal Timișoara is taking the control over the construction of trams. With new situation under new management, the production of tram continue, and they start, the engineers of the Electrometal, which were most of them the same engineers which worked at the first variant of Timiș, have continued to design a second phase of the type. It was presented in 1982 at Exhibition of National Economy Achievement at Bucharest, and there appear some problems with the quality of the products. It's not just about the Timiș trams, it's about all Romanian products, because from now on, all products will have a double standard. The internal standard will be a lower one, a cheaper one, and the export standard will be a bigger quality product. Even so, many of the products have been refused and then have remained and have been sold on the internal market. So this new tram have had minimal body changes. The front root display was included into the body. We can see here different type of windows, lateral windows with bigger ventilation areas have been mounted. But in fact, in back of this decision stays the fact that aluminum frame or aluminum in general was banned to be used at this product. So even the fluorescent light have been removed and replaced with classic bulb lamps. The initial neon light have been imported, and all what was from import was denied to be acquired. Also, the metal sheet used for construction of the tram have had a lower quality. Just to understand how strange it was, all this decision, it was for example, a fact which I know from engineers which worked at the project at the time, and told me that the copper in electrical cables was required to be replaced by iron or steel. They made a calculation, and for example, the power cord between motor car and trailer, if have had to be replaced by iron, was sufficient to remove the coupling system. Also, the aluminum in the handrail was replaced by steel. Beside Oradea, Timiș trams have been delivered to Brăila, Galați, Iași, Arad, Sibiu, Craiova, Cluj, Ploiești, Reșița, and the total number of Timiș cars in Timișoara was about 122 trains and 11 motor cars. The estimated number of complete trains, Timiș trains, was about 120, produced between 1969 and 1990. Last year of public service for the Timiș tram was in Timișoara 2005, but in 1982 has come a moment with a delay of a few years, the Timish V2 tram model to appear. This was actually the initial prototype of a simple articulated tram made by engineer Gheorghe Bihoi, banned in 1969 and modified here with the elements of Timish 2. The tram had the classic bodywork, but the only modification was this articulation section with Jacob's type bogie. This tram has had the same engines, the same power engines, and due to the fact that the entire construction was with a bigger weight, it seems that the top speed was smaller. This tram was not a perfect one. It was a prototype, and during using this tram, the transport company have had many times problem with articulation. And for this reason, it was used sporadically. It was a joy for me as a child to see the tram in traffic, and was not very often seen on the street, but it seems that Hubert Königer have been enough lucky to catch the tram in 1984 and to take a picture with it. 1983, already the centralized management from Bucharest decided that Timish tram was surpassed by the other models produced by the competitors from Eastern Bloc. They decide to create a collaboration between Electrometal and Arad Wagon Factory, Astra Arad, in order to make a solo tram project. The interesting point is that they consider it a good solution to have solo cars driven in multiple command. They mention in the presentation material that they have to have 3 such motor cars, but also there is mentioned a maximum number of 6 engine wagons. It's a really strange formula, because they mention maximum of 3 and then mention the 6, but I keep this here in presentation. Also a national novelty for a tram produced in Romania was the using of the GTO chopper. The braking system have to be produced after Knorr license, and a new symmetrical current collector, a new symmetrical pantograph with pneumatic drive was to provide the power supply. The initial calculate to have this tram finished in 1984 wasn't possible. Certain elements planned in horizontal industry were not ready, so this project remained at the body stage. There exists such a picture on the internet with this body remaining on Dâmbovița depot, but was never completed. It was just a metal body, a shell. Also, the initial project have been foreseen as to realize a simpler articulated version. This version was done during 1985. We see here a picture from the ATTS forum. I've tried to put some color on it to have an idea how this prototype have looked. It was a very big, very massive tram. Instead of the fact that in the Western factories, the tendencies, it was to introduce low floor, Here, maybe the experience of the Astra Arad, which were made the metro cars for Bucharest, maybe has determined the project or the result of the project to have a higher floor than Timiș cars. So it was quite a trip to climb on this tram, and it was not a good idea to work on this direction. The length is almost similar to the V2 prototype, and interesting was the traction bogies, which have had two engine types. They have 4 engine types MT2 with a power of 15 kilowatts each. Tram have had a speed even smaller than V2. I think even the body has become bigger and with a bigger weight. And grace to the GTO, the brake determined the accumulation. When the brake was used, the energy was put back in the catenary in the system. So also an interesting fact mentioned in the papers of this tram is that exists a possibility to placing inside the tram some batteries which allow an autonomous movement for about 1 hour. That time, that period, also for economical reason, it was something usual to remain without electric energy in the house, because during days it was necessary to have more electric power for the factories, and then people which are at home remain without it. But this wasn't a rule. Many times the power was cut in the evening, so this makes things more interesting. Back to the tram, I have to say that this tram, this prototype was tested on public service on Route 7, but all the time has been owned by Electrometal. After the events in December 1989, all centralized plans have been cancelled, and this tram was offered to be by the local transport company. They refused it. Tram has remained in a shed in a shed of Electrometal company till 1996, when it was scrapped. So the history of the tram in Timisoara continues after this period. It's a long history, but the production of tram ended. Even if the Timiș trams could not be compared with similar Tatra products, they have remained an important product, which show the ability and the support of the public transport in the country. I'm aware that the quality, it was not the best, and we have to know that the condition of the country with a closed economy, it was worse compared to the other countries in Eastern Bloc. The history of the tram production, as we have all seen, is represented by ambition of professionals who try to maintain and improve the tram system, even if the problems did not cease to appear. It's interesting that the wheels of the imperial cars, let's say so, the Type A and Type B, have continued to spinning for more than 60 years in different forms. In the condition of 2 world wars, an economic crisis, and the aggressive Soviet system, the tram has continued to fulfill its purpose. So these were the materials which I've used to make this presentation. And I have here to thank you for your attention and to wish you a nice summer holiday time.